All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the first in a two-part series called You Make Me Feel. And this first part is we're going to be discussing the cause and effect nature of communications and relationships. Oftentimes we think of how we interact with people in that cause and effect kind of way. My daughter, rolls her eyes and sighs every time she talks to me, and as soon as that happens, I just get so angry. Or my spouse is going out to lunch with a work colleague, and I just get really jealous because they didn't tell me about it. These in our minds often seem like cause and effect. Like as soon as this happens. As soon as my daughter rolls her eyes and sighs, I get angry. And what I want to point out is that actually it's not cause and effect. There's something that happens in between the cause and the effect, or the stimulus and the response. What I'm going to call the stimulus and the impact. There's something that's going on in here, and that's our interpretation of what happens. So there's the thing that happened, my daughter rolls her eyes, and then we interpret what that means. We make that mean something in our minds. She doesn't respect me, she's ungrateful, she just wants to leave, she doesn't love me, something like that. It doesn't matter what the interpretation is. Honestly, it doesn't even matter if it's right or wrong. There is some interpretation that we're making, and then we react. And what we react to isn't the thing that happened. What we're reacting to is actually our interpretation. So my spouse goes out to lunch with a colleague and doesn't tell me about it, and I interpret that to mean they are not attracted to me, they're attracted to this colleague instead, our relationship is in peril, anything like that. And my jealousy is not about them going out to lunch. My jealousy is about my interpretation that them going to lunch means it's about our relationship. If instead we knew that our daughter had dust in her contact and she was rolling her eyes to try to clear it, or our spouse was late for a project and this person that they went to lunch with was the only one in the company that could help them finish it, then our reaction, our impact is likely to be way different. And so the thing that happens isn't what causes our impact, our response. It's our interpretation of what's happening. A lot of teachers actually teach, change your interpretation, change your life. If you change the way you're seeing things, then you can change how everything else in your life goes. Sure, maybe not. To me, it doesn't really matter. The thing that I'm more interested in isn't, I don't want to get you to change your interpretation. I want to get you to understand that it's actually happening. And it's happening that you understand and that you recognize it in the moment that it's happening. If you want to change your interpretation, go for it. If you don't, no problem. But if you notice that it's actually happening in the moment and that's what's causing your impact, your response, then you have more freedom and more power in that relationship. If my daughter comes up to me and says, I don't have a daughter, but if my daughter comes up to me and says, and rolls her eyes, and I immediately get angry, I have no power in that interaction. I have no freedom to be anything but angry. And it's honestly, all of the power in this interaction is her doing something. If I don't know that there's a different way to be, if I don't know that I'm interpreting that rolling of the eyes in some way, then I've lost the freedom to be any other way than angry in that interaction. And so if we can learn to separate those and see that there's an interpretation and do that in the moment that it's actually happening, all of a sudden there's more space to be something different, to do something different. I have more availability, more power, more freedom. I have more choice in this relationship. This is why I've named my website More Choices. I don't necessarily need to tell you to change your interpretations, but if you know that there are interpretations happening, then you'll have more choices in your relationships, and that's really what I'm looking for. So I'd like you to take, after this video, just 60 seconds, it's not much, it won't take long, Think about one interaction that happened to you in the last couple of days that you just flipped, or you something happened and you didn't seem that you just reacted without any sense of control or choice in the matter. Take 60 seconds and just pick one of those interactions and look to see, try to separate that down and slow it a bit, and look to see what the interpretation that you made was. That interpretation might be right and spot on. It might be incorrect. We might not know. I just want you to look to see that there was some interpretation happening. And I invite you over the next few days to, during your interactions and communications with people, to notice that these interpretations are actually happening all the time with most every interaction. Try to do that. Thank you so much. Next week we're going to be talking about the other aspect of what this all means in terms of how people make us feel. And if you would, I'd love people to put some comments down below about what they found, what interpretations they noticed, because the more that we can have this a dialogue, more than just me talking to you, the better I feel about it, which I'd like that. And the more that others that are at this site can see, oh right, I do that too, and I hadn't even noticed that, and oh, I'm glad somebody else does that, I don't feel so alone. So the more that we can generate some community involvement here, I think the better this will be. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.